Hi everyone. Today we're going to focus on introducing ourselves and asking about someone's job in German. We'll be using the verb sein, which means to be, and the question word was meaning what. Remember, in German, we always use sein. We'll also look at how the word order changes in questions. Let's dive in. Hello everyone. Welcome back. Let's quickly refresh. We've already learned how to ask for someone's their
Weiter. Nationalität.
and where they're from with
Wo,
answering with
ich komme auf.
that's I come from. Today, we'll build on these basics and start talking about where we live. Ready?
Wie heißt du? Wie heißt du?
Ich bin 20 Jahre alt. Ich bin 20 Jahre alt.
Was ist dein Beruf? Was ist dein Beruf?
Notice how Emily asked.
Was ist dein Beruf?
That's the question structure. Was comes first. Then we have the verb. A form of sein, to be. James answered with
Ich bin Lehrer.
once again using sein. It's always important. Also, Beruf means profession. A common mistake is skipping bin and saying ich lehre instead of ich bin Lehrer. Keep this in mind.
Und du? Was machst du? Und du? Was machst du?
Ich arbeite als Arzt. Ich arbeite als Arzt.
Great. Emily used a more casual question,
Und du? Was machst du?
which translates to and you? What's your job? James replied that he
Arbeite als Arzt.
works as a doctor. Arbeiten means to work and als means as. This is a great way to introduce your job. Remember this phrase, ich arbeite als I work as.
Ich arbeite in einem Krankenhaus. Ich arbeite in einem Krankenhaus.
Now Emily asks where James works using wo arbeitest du? And again, notice the verb comes first. James replies he works in einem Krankenhaus, in a hospital. The M is added to ein because it comes before a vowel. In means in. Mastering these prepositions will be key for talking about locations.
Mein Beruf ist Programmiererin. Mein Beruf ist Programmiererin.
Emily says,
Mein Beruf ist Programmiererin.
I'm a programmer. Notice the feminine ending erin because Emily is a woman. This matters in German. James responds with,
Das ist interessant.
meaning that's interesting. This is a polite way to engage in conversation. Keep an eye out for gendered nouns, they can be a bit tricky. Let's do a quick recap.
Wer ist dein Chef? Wer ist dein Chef?
Mein Chef ist sehr nett. Mein Chef ist sehr nett.
Here, Emily asks,
Wer ist dein Chef?
who's your boss? Remember, wer means who. James answers that.
Mein Chef ist sehr nett.
My boss is really nice. Chef means boss and sehr nett means really nice. This gives a glimpse into workplace dynamics.
Hast du viele Kollegen? Hast du viele Kollegen?
Ja, ich habe viele Kollegen. Ja, ich habe viele Kollegen.
Now, let's move on to a common question, asking about salary. We'll learn how to phrase a polite inquiry about someone's earnings. The key is to use indirect questions with ob, meaning if or whether. We'll be introducing a new grammatical construction, indirect questions. This is important for showing politeness and avoiding directness, which is valued in German culture.
Verdienst du viel Geld? Verdienst du viel Geld? Verdienst du viel Geld?
Is grammatically correct but sounds rather direct. A more polite approach uses the phrase ich frage mich, ob followed by the question. See how ob connects the clauses. Remember to maintain the correct word order when using indirect questions. The verb goes at the end of the subordinate clause. This demonstrates thoughtfulness in communication.
Ich frage mich, ob dein Beruf gut bezahlt ist. Ich frage mich, ob dein Beruf gut bezahlt ist.
Excellent. Note how James used ich frage mich, ob this is the polite way. When responding to such a question, you can be vague or provide a general response. You could say,
Es ist ganz okay.
it's quite okay, or
Ich verdiene genug zum Leben.
I earn enough to live. Considering cultural differences, it's often best to be slightly evasive about precise salary figures.
Wie viel verdienst du ungefähr? Wie viel verdienst du ungefähr?
Emily's question
Wie viel verdienst du ungefähr?
is acceptable, especially among friends and colleagues, but it's still a somewhat personal question. James' use of ungefähr approximately softens the inquiry. Remember, directly asking about salary is often considered rude in many situations. Gauge the relationship before asking and be prepared for a potentially evasive or polite refusal to answer. Consider the context.
Ich verdiene genug, um meine Familie zu unterstützen. Ich verdiene genug, um meine Familie zu unterstützen.
Today, we're going to expand your vocabulary related to work by discussing work hours and different shift patterns. Pay attention to the verbs arbeiten to work and haben to have, as they are commonly used to describe your working schedule. We'll practice forming sentences like ich arbeite 8 Stunden am Tag, I work 8 hours a day, which is a very standard way to express your daily workload.
Ich arbeite oft am Wochenende. Ich arbeite oft am Wochenende.
Emily used the adverb oft often. Note how adverbs like oft, manchmal sometimes, and nein never modify verbs and describe how frequently an action occurs. The placement of the adverb usually comes before the main verb. An express frequency is common when discussing work schedules. Always remember the flexibility of word order in German to create flow.
Habe ich eine Schichtarbeit? Habe ich eine Schichtarbeit?
James' sentence
Habe ich eine Schichtarbeit?
needs a small adjustment grammatically. The correct way to express having shift work is
Ich habe Schichtarbeit.
the verb haben is followed by the noun. This illustrates a common construction where haben is used to indicate possession or a condition, in this case, the condition of working shifts. This is a critical distinction.
Wie viele Stunden arbeitest du pro Woche? Wie viele Stunden arbeitest du pro Woche?
Emily skillfully used pro watch per week to ask about James' weekly hours. This is an excellent addition to your vocabulary for describing work-related details. It's vital to learn common phrasing like this to navigate detailed conversation. Don't be afraid to add detail when inquiry.
Ich arbeite ungefähr 40 Stunden. Ich arbeite ungefähr 40 Stunden.
We're now going to focus on describing what you actually do in your job. Notice the use of verbs like helfen to help, lernen to learn, and entwickeln to develop. Using these verbs gives a much more detailed and natural picture of your daily work routine. We will also introduce mit with to show collaboration.
Ich helfe Schülern beim Lernen. Ich helfe Schülern beim Lernen.
Excellent. The grammar is perfect. Notice how beim Lernen functions as a prepositional phrase, modifying helfen. It describes how you're helping specifically, by aiding them in their studies. It's important to recognize the nuances of these prepositions to sound more fluent. Also, remember the correct pronunciation of Schulern.
Ich entwickle neue Softwareprogramme. Ich entwickle neue Softwareprogramme.
Very good, James. Entwickeln is a strong verb to use and shows a higher level of involvement. Pay attention to the relationship between subject, verb, and the object new software program. You are the subject, entwickel is the verb, and new software program is the explanation. Let's add some immediacy. Ich entwickle gerade new software program. I'm currently developing new software programs.
Was machst du genau mit der Software? Was machst du genau mit der Software?
Excellent question, Emily. You're moving beyond basic profession statements to detailed inquiries. Note that genau means exactly and introduces a sense of wanting clarification. This demonstrates fluency and a natural flow of conversation. The sentence structure mimics the earlier was questioning examples.
Ich arbeite mit Designen zusammen. Ich arbeite mit Designen zusammen.
Today, we'll be exploring the concept of work-life balance in German. We'll introduce ways to discuss how much free time you have and how you use it. A crucial aspect of well-being and professional satisfaction, we'll learn phrases to express whether your job allows for both career and personal pursuits.
Ich habe nicht viel Freizeit. Ich habe nicht viel Freizeit.
Let's unpack that sentence.
Äh,
Means I have.
Nicht viel.
Translates directly to not much. Notice the word order. The negative expression,
Nee.
with quantity words, almost always goes before the noun it modifies. This reinforces that your work schedule doesn't allow you much leisure time.
Wie sieht dein Wochenende aus? Wie sieht dein Wochenende aus?
This is a common way to inquire about someone's weekend plans. Means how,
Fällt.
is from the verb
Zählen.
to see and indicates out. So, you are literally asking how does it look out? Meaning, what are your plans for the weekend? Note the verb sehen used in an idiomatic way.
Ich arbeite normalerweise am Samstag. Ich arbeite normalerweise am Samstag.
Today, we'll explore how to express if you enjoy your job. We'll be using adverbs like sehr very and nicht not to intensify or negate your feelings. Learning these will let you communicate more nuanced opinions about your daily work life and how fulfilling it is. Remember, German is all about specificity.
Ich mag meinen Job sehr. Ich mag meinen Job sehr.
Excellent. Notice how sehr directly modifies the verb mag. This is standard practice with adverbs of degree. Adding sehr shows genuine enthusiasm. For further nuance, you could use ich mag meinen Job wirklich, which means I really like my job, perfectly acceptable and natural.
Mein Beruf gefällt mir nicht. Mein Beruf gefällt mir nicht.
Perfect. Using nicht before the verb negates the entire statement, a fundamental part of German grammar. It's a direct opposite of using sehr. You are politely stating your level of job satisfaction. To be more forceful, you could say ich mag meinen Job überhaupt nicht. I don't like my job at all, but keep it tactful.
Was gefällt dir an deinem Job? Was gefällt dir an deinem Job?
A fantastic question.
Was gefällt dir an deinem Job?
Literally translates to what pleases you about your job. It's a very common way to inquire about the positive aspects of someone's profession. You're broadening the conversation beyond just a basic dislike answer and demonstrating interest. A good follow-up could be und was gefällt dir nicht?
Die Kollegen sind sehr nett. Die Kollegen sind sehr nett.
Excellent. You've successfully combined an adjective net nice with an adverb sehr very to provide a more detailed description. Notice that net directly describes the colleagues. This sentence highlights a positive element of your work environment, demonstrating an ability to articulate specifics. Now, try adding a while clause.
Warum magst du deinen Job? Warum magst du deinen Job? Ich bin Lehrer. Ich bin Lehrer.
Du bist Arzt. Du bist Arzt.
Ich arbeite in einer Schule. Ich arbeite in einer Schule.
Notice the inclusion of
Zusammen.
meaning together. This is crucial for illustrating collaboration and teamwork, a common aspect of many professions. It means you specifically work in cooperation with designers. We're building complexity step by step. Remember which preposition to use when describing collaboration. We covered a lot today about asking and sharing professions. Remember to practice using sein, was, and else. For homework, write down 5 different professions and how you describe your work. Listen to how native speakers use these phrases. And don't forget the pronunciation of ch. Okay, everyone, that was a fantastic lesson. We covered lots of vocabulary and grammar related to professions in German. Remember those essential phrases.
Mein Beruf ist.
And
Ich bin.
they'll be super useful for introducing yourself. I hope you all feel a bit more confident now. But let's test that with a quick quiz. Write First question. What was the main topic of this lesson?